While others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
We celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Tashir Zameda.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Mud podcast. While others celebrate the wins,
We celebrate the mud. We are coming to you from the Barrow Lounge at the Mall in West Village. I'm Alex Kuman.
and I'm Drew King, and today we are having a chaotic morning, which we're just going to let you know is part of the podcast.
Part of the process.
I just ran for 15 minutes to find an SD card so we could simply record this episode because one just broke. So that's what I'm feeling muddy and sweaty about at the moment.
But you look amazing.
Yes. But yes, today we are super excited to welcome a dear friend to the podcast, the incredible, remarkable Sarah Jenkins.
Hi guys. Hi Sarah.
So happy to have you here.
Thank you for your patience as I
Yeah.
ran around Lower Manhattan
You're
trying
so
to find
welcome.
an SD card.
You did it. You know what
Sarah,
though? You did
just
it.
absolutely cool as a cucumber the whole time. Just
Literally.
the chillest.
I was like-
hey, it's all good.
Just
You're
let me
glistened,
let
you're
me
warm.
pad all the sweat off.
Absolutely. You really took one for the team there.
I can no longer return the
Like-
shirt to Zara. The tags are still on, but
But honestly,
but we
favorite
keep it.
part,
We keep
favorite
it.
part
But we
though is
keep
Alex
it.
and I sitting here Googling where can you get an SD card, and we're like, we found one, and then we hear bing, bada, ding, ding, ding. We're like, ooh,
Trying to
the
text
iPad
Drew.
and the phone are here.
the iPad and the phone all here. But
You did it though.
we have managed to survive. You know, it's all
We did
about
it.
persevering in
did
the
it.
face of terrifying moments of deep stress. Anyway, okay, so we have the remarkable Sarah Jenkins here today. So Sarah and I have known each other peripherally in the business
Yeah.
for a very long time now, but we've never worked together.
Never.
We've been in
Odd.
audition rooms together.
Yeah.
We've never worked together, and we've been in many a social circle together.
Correct.
And I am so damn thrilled to have you on the podcast because we have a really interesting topic to catch up on and things that I can relate to and you can relate to as well. But for backstory, Sarah is a dancer, actor, choreographer, performer, director, writer from San Diego originally, correct?
Correct.
Yes, from San Diego, California. How long
Yes.
have you been in New York?
Here we go. In a couple weeks, it is my 20-year New York anniversary.
I'm coming up on 20 this year as well.
I think it's like October 11th, maybe.
Yes.
I know, because it's in my calendar as the New York
my
anniversary.
gosh.
And I keep joking that I'm like, you know what I would love to give New York for our 20-year anniversary? A breakup. I would love to break up with it.
Are you trying to get
leave.
out?
Oh, I want the fuck
Wow,
out.
you do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, we're
yeah.
gonna get into that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
my gosh.
I'm done. I hate
Where would you go?
back home to California.
It's beautiful.
I can't. We
beautiful.
just went back for the month of August. It's the third year in a row that for August everything is dead, and we're
Yeah.
like, who cares? And sublet our apartment and go back and stay with my family and take our dogs to the beach. And
Is that called
surf.
snowbirding, where you go
I
coast to
believe-
coast,
yeah.
or is that north to south snowbirds?
I think it's just fleeing.
just
Jenny
fleeing New
thought.
York
fleeing
in the
New
misery
York
of winter.
In the misery.
Yeah.
Okay, I support that.
But we fled it in the misery of the summer. But
Okay,
it's fine. But yeah,
amazing.
it's great, and I miss
Yeah.
it.
It's California.
California
is magical.
is insane.
It's my fave.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
I
I'm
love
also
it.
from San Diego, which is like LA but without the crazy. So it's just even better.
Yeah.
It's pretty magical. And the first, I don't know, 10 years or so in New York, I would go back home to San Diego and I'd be waiting for my coffee and be like, come on, what is
Yeah.
happening? Why is everything so slow and sleepy here? And now I'm like, oh God, give it to me. Take as much time as you want. And,
Oh my God.
and I love it. But I think that's a direct
Yeah.
result of being in New York for 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did it.
You did
You
it.
did
I
it.
did it. I don't want to walk up 4 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've had
You don't
this
have to.
illustrious career in New York, though, to throw some credits at you.
Yeah.
So you were in the Broadway revival of Cats.
I was.
As Jennyanydots, the tap dancing cat.
the tap dancing
The tap
cat.
dancing cat with Andy
And-
Blankenbuehler.
With an 8-pound tail.
Oh my God. And one of our former guests, Harris Milgram,
Yes.
was in that revival
We
with
did
you.
that together.
He was a swing and played how many roles? Like 8 roles or
And
something
like,
crazy
I don't know,
like
like
that?
18. They were
Yeah.
they were our swings in that show.
Yeah.
I don't know how they
What is a
did
swing
it.
for the non-theater folks?
For people that don't know, a swing is somebody who covers all of the ensemble tracks in the show, or some in the case
Sometimes
of
principals
cats,
too,
they're
yeah.
principals. So you cover multiple tracks at once. So you're not in the show at like every single night. You're only in the show when someone calls out sick or injured.
Yeah,
so
which
it
in
means
Cats is literally every day.
every day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there were truly people. It was kind of fun because by the time I went into the show, it was a good group, and
Yeah.
it was we kind of said it was like when the adults kind of took over because I didn't do like the first like 6 months or whatever, and we came to replace, and we were like, guys, it's great, like it's fine, like people were really stressed out. And I remember Sam Sturm and I went, it's just enough to be like, let's order beer and wings to the dressing room. It's gonna be fine. Chill out, it's gonna be fine. But so the vibe was fun, and the swings there, everybody respected them so much because the job
they
was
were
so
working their
hard.
asses
But
off.
it literally would be hilarious to the point that if you didn't look at the call sheet, like you didn't know who was on for whom, sometimes until you got out on that stage and you'd connect eyes with someone and be like,
Oh, you're in the show
here.
today. Cool.
hi. Yeah, it was insane. You never knew who was on. It was
So it's
great.
a crazy high stress job because you need to know everyone's lines, their music, what costumes they're wearing, where they enter, where they exit, all their choreography they do on stage. So most people in a Broadway show just learn their one singular track. The swings, on the other hand, have to learn sometimes like 8 to 10 tracks. And then if there's a cut show, they're like, okay, I'm Rumple Teaser for the first 2 numbers,
And then I gotta go
I'm
be
Mungo
Victoria,
Jerry,
and then you're like-
then I'm Victoria. Like these are random cat names.
Obviously.
You're like, oh yeah, I figured that out.
like, no, these are
figure that out.
performers.
So being a
Figure
swing
that.
is chaotic.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for them, but yeah, it's wild.
But you have a thousand other performance careers. You were on the Peter Pan tour, Cathy Rigby's Peter Pan.
I was, and then I ended up taking over for her
taking
when
over.
she retired. Yeah.
You've done a million shows out at Sacramento. You've worked regionally everywhere. You've done all the tours. And then now recently, our topic of conversation that is muddy today, relatively rooted in career transition.
Correct.
And we're talking about forced retirement today. You have gravitated into the realm of choreography,
Yes.
which is, for people who don't know what choreography is, you're essentially creating dance and movement for a specific project. And your most recent cool project that you got to go to the Emmys for, right? Did you
I
get to
did
go?
it.
Okay,
I
you got to
actually
watch
was
the
not
Emmys.
nominated for an Emmy.
You should have been. You should have been.
I was not. I was a for your consideration. And they did not.
That's still
And they did not consider.
You know,
They
not bad.
considered, but they decided against.
They consider.
We consider.
It's okay, but you know what? If you want to keep
her,
perpetuating that lie, I'll take it.
let's just say it.
But
You
what
have
was it for?
37 Emmys.
It was for Girls Five Eva.
Okay.
The Sarah Bareilles, Busy Phillips, Renee Goldsberry, and Paula Pell show on
Hysterical. Have you seen
Netflix.
it?
I haven't seen it yet.
All
but
3
everyone
seasons
I-
on Netflix.
Everyone I talk to is like,
Produced
it's
by Tina
hilarious.
Fey, created by Meredith Scardino.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just a show with, as we were talking about earlier, it's a funny women's show. But I will say it does broach a lot of like demographics.
Mm-hmm.
Like my husband loves it. I know guys that are like, this shit is so funny. But
Well, it is so. It's and I encounter this so much with stand up of
Yeah.
like people being like, well, do you do like women's comedy? It's like
no, get out. It's comedy.
I do comedy,
Yeah.
and
Girl
I'm
comedy.
a comedian,
Yeah.
and I happen to be a woman,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I am only speaking to women.
Correct.
It just happens to be coming from my mouth.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for some people to wrap
They
their
can't
heads
understand.
around
They
that.
can't understand that. They're like,
Yeah.
it's all period jokes.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And it's like, well, there's some period jokes.
Yeah,
and guess
some.
what?
And guess what? They're
Everyone
fucking
can
funny.
laugh at those.
And you're making dick jokes left and right nonstop.
I
So why
know,
can't
I
I make
know.
one period joke and
Or
one
7.
abortion joke?
Or
7 or
8.
8. Like, what the fuck?
It's wild, but we call it 100 JPM. That show is 100 jokes per minute. Like
love it.
where you
Yeah,
have
it's-
to, you almost have to like rewind it.
Like a Veep
Yeah.
style.
It is.
Oh my
I say, you know,
God.
it is like if you were a fan of
favorite.
30 Rock or
Yep.
of Kimmy Schmidt, it's as if one of those
Which
shows.
you also choreographed for.
I did
You
as
also
well.
choreographed on the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this. What a
and
resume.
yeah, which I love. And I actually started doing that while I was still performing. So I was like dabbling in that, how I kind of fell into it and was like, but I still like singing and dancing. And then honestly, thank God I had, because then I was like, well, I guess it's all in this pot now.
So what sparked this switch?
Yeah, this forced retirement.
Yeah.
What exactly was
So,
it happened? And when did it happen?
Yeah, so I mean, I danced my whole life. Like I did everything, but I would say that that's kind of like what I would lead with, or what I would end up doing first, or maybe like what I was like known for. Had always, dancers are always injured. They're always injured. I joke, my husband jokes all the time. He'd be like, we've known each other since I was like 19, you know, we were like 18, 19. He was like, I've never known you a single day where you have not, something hasn't hurt.
Yeah.
That was like, and that's not over the top. Like, it's literal. Like, no, I've literally been in pain probably every day of my life since I was like 15. But it's just kind of what we do. And it's like, it's
Just
normal.
accept it.
It's normal. It's not normal.
It's not
But
normal.
but we're led to believe that that's normal. So anyway, so then years of repetitive, like whatever. And then in January of 2022, I was like achy. My back is always achy. I mean, I tumbled. I was tap dancing on a rake stage and whatnot. You know, started seeing chiropractors when I was like 15 because that's what happens when you're flipping around on hard stages.
Sidebar: a rake stage, for those that don't know, is when the stage is at a slant and it's a, like kind of like an ancient.
Like the back of the stage is literally higher than the front
lower.
of the stage.
So you're
so that's
dancing
probably good
on
for
an
your, like,
angle.
knee.
It's wonderful
It's
for your
probably so
joints. You know,
good
it's
for
great
your-
being completely off kilter. But
And was it a steel deck or
But
was it a sprung deck? Probably
it was
steel.
No, it was.
Okay.
It was sprung.
Okay.
I don't know these
honestly,
terms
it doesn't
either.
matter.
Sorry, so many theatrical terms. Sprung means there's a little bit of give
There's a
in the
little bit of
stage. So if you're
give. There
dancing
was-
and jumping,
Yeah, there was
the
a little-
stage kind of
with you.
absorbs some of your jumping.
Your
but sometimes
traction, yeah.
you're tap dancing
Okay.
on a steel stage where there's no give and you're just like pounding your feet into concrete or
So
steel.
bad.
Yeah, it's
So-
not. It's
So
not.
bad.
I'm not gonna lie.
is
It's
the
Always
word.
terrible
Not
conditions for
great.
dancers.
So
not great.
January.
So January 2022. Everything was like a little achy. I was walking down the street in New York, and my legs gave out. Like
nowhere.
gave out to the point that it was like it felt like a bolt of lightning hit me in the back, and my legs gave out. I was actually walking. It had been like off, but I was walking in going down to Midtown to see Jen Simard and Company.
Okay.
She given matinee tickets, and I was like, my back really hurts these days, but I was like, I'll go down. I'm literally walking, and like Andrew, my husband, like caught me. I was like, this isn't normal.
Wow.
This is bad. I went to my chiropractor, who is great, on the Upper West Side, lead chiropractor for like New York City Ballet and stuff. And I got there and was like sobbing, and I was like, I don't know what's happening to me. He was like, immediately like, get an MRI. We don't know what's going on. Blah blah blah. So I go to get an MRI, and the technicians aren't usually allowed to say anything because they're technicians. And if you've ever
Yes. That's
had the MRIs or whatever, they're
most
always like,
annoying part.
okay, bye-bye, your doctor will
contact you in 5 to
and
7
you're like,
business
just tell
days.
me
Like,
what's
I know you
on.
can
Just-
see
I
what
know
is
you know.
happening.
I know you know.
And you can always kind of read it, and you're like,
Yeah.
anyway. So
You're like,
this
"Can I
guy
take a look?"
is not supposed to say anything. He helped me off the table, and he asked me when my accident was. And I said, I didn't have an accident, just my life choices.
Oh.
And I was like, that's when I knew I was like, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. So
the damage to your body as a dancer was the equivalent of some sort of traumatic.
he thought I was in
physical
a
accident.
physical
car
accident.
accident.
Yeah. So, turns out that I had a disc herniation in my L5-S1, which is basically, if you think about like just above your sacrum, like above your butt crack, like that low back that if you have back pain, like it's probably down there in your like lumbar area. I had a severe herniation that was so bad, it completely spilled out into my spinal canal and compressed both of my sciatic nerves.
Oh my god.
Correct. Like I'm just gonna take a moment and think. And I was trying to go about life like it was fine.
Yeah.
You had already been so
Because-
accustomed to walking
correct.
around with that level of pain.
Because
that
I
it
was
didn't-
so used to like my body hurts. Dancers are always in pain. It's what we do. It's fine. Take some Advil and put on some lipstick. You'll get over it. But yeah, and they were like, it's there. Like the MRI is insane. Like my whole spinal canal. It's like it's spilled out. Anyway, so then the fucked up dancer part in me is like, surgery's bad. Don't do it. We're taught do anything.
I'm gonna
that.
PT the fuck out of
Yeah, and
this.
it's gonna be fine. And everybody was like, I don't think it's gonna be fine. And I was like,
Yeah.
should be
Your
fine.
back is leaking? I think you
leaking.
need surgery.
Yeah, and I
Back
was,
is leaking.
and as I'm like hobbling down, I can't bend over, I can't put my shoes on. I'm like, it'll be okay. I'll get steroid injections to try to stave it off. So to Cliff's Notes that, I got between like mid-January and April of 2022, I had gotten 2 steroid injections into my spine. 10-10, don't recommend.
Oh my God.
I was literally screaming on the table. I was like, how is this possible? And what it did is it got me so I could walk, but I still couldn't even bend over and touch my toes. And I went back, I found a great neurosurgeon, and he was like, yeah, like it's not going anywhere. Like we have to take it out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, here we go. So in April of 2022, I went in for surgery. They took the whole thing out. He was like, this is one of the biggest herniations I've ever seen. The whole disc had spilled out. It was literally like that big.
Wow.
I mean, I'm showing you. It's like, imagine like the size of like a quarter almost, just like floating in this spinal canal. I was like, okay, here we go. So then I, go through PT, doing all the things, like learning, like walking and everything.
Did you have to like relearn how to walk?
I don't know if I was walking a couple days afterward, but I was using a cane, and especially in like New York City, I was like, I'm carrying this cane even when I don't think to, because people run into you.
Like
They
me
do
trying
not
to find
care.
that SD card today.
Correct.
I was like, oh my fucking way.
Drew took out like 3 old ladies on a walker just to get this
Probably.
SD card.
I'm sure I did.
Honestly.
And honestly, worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway, went through PT, like did all the stuff. It was like kind of going okay. And then let's fast forward a couple months to July. And I was going to go back home to California. I was like, I had been cleared to start, to do this like moderate activity. I said, can I get in the water? Can I go for a hike? Can I do these things? And they're like, yeah, at this point, anything that you feel comfortable doing, you can do. I mean, don't lift 50 pounds, but you can do some stuff. So I was going to teach a workshop in California. I was going to do all this stuff. End of July. I woke up one morning and with a severe pain in my stomach, and by 7 p.m. I was having an appendectomy. Oh yeah, no, this shit is wild. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? My appendix was about to explode, so I had an appendectomy. The reason that is important, because it's like, whatever, brushed under the rug. If people get their appendix out, it's laparoscopic. You're fine in like a week, like whatever. But laparoscopic appendix, they go in through the front, and so my abdominal wall was shut off for a few weeks, which is what braces your spine.
Oh,
Oh God.
Yes, I know. We see where this is going.
yeah.
This is
So what?
a little mystery. So I go to California, and I'm like, it's fine. I'm gonna walk, get in the water, do my baby surfing.
I'm not laughing.
No, you should laugh. You should absolutely laugh. This is wild. It's insane.
The concept of you just like, I just imagine
flopping around.
At this point, I'm just
Just
like,
are Gumby.
I'm Gumby.
That car, like the car salesman things that like
the
blow.
car dealership windsock. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing there. There's nothing holding this shit together. So I think I'm okay. Anyway, this is to say I go out to California, I start doing some things, and after a couple weeks, that severe nerve pain was shooting down my legs again, and I was like, "Is this from? What is this from? What could this possibly be from?" Like, called my doctor, he put me on steroids, he flew me out, got me a pack of steroids. Was like, "Well,
steroids.
well, because that insane inflammation." He's like, "Maybe we'll try to get that out. Maybe it's just pressing on your nerve. Well, some so I'm looking for." Like swelling. We'll try to get it down. This is to say, I get back beginning of September, and he's like, you need an MRI again right away. We have to find out what's going on, why this is happening. And turns out that whatever was left of my disc spilled out because my spine was so degenerated and my abs couldn't brace it. So anything that was left in there just puked back into my spinal canal again. And he was like, you need to come to the hospital tomorrow. We're having surgery tomorrow. Again.
So this is your third surgery in what?
In 5 months.
5
yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Your poor
And my second
body.
spinal surgery. Yeah. Because I hadn't recovered from the first one fully, and it happened again. And it was like, I just sobbed. I sobbed, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this again. I literally don't. And my neurosurgeon is an angel, and he was like, we can't wait for, to get a table. Like, you need this out now. It's pressing on your nerves. And bless his heart, he sent me an Uber. He said, I'm sending you an Uber. Get in the car. I'm out at Staten Island today, and we're going to check you into the emergency room. and you're gonna spend the night in the emergency room, and that's how we're gonna get you a OR tomorrow morning. And literally within 36 hours, I was back on the table having spinal surgery again.
And how long was the recovery from number 3?
Well, so the irony with that is like, it is a recovery, but the rub of it all is I don't think I ever have or will like recover to the point that what we would think it as.
Yeah.
Like, could I get on a stage and like dance or wear a heel? And like, what? Like, no. And so I was so devastated from not fully recovering from the first one. I just throw the appendectomy is like, brush it on the rug. But the reason that probably contributed to my spine not being able to fully heal as fast as it did. And so, yeah, to this day, it's been just like 2 years now since that last spinal surgery. And as my surgeon puts it, your sciatic nerve was hit by a car essentially 4 times because it had a herniation where it spilled out completely. Then it had surgery. Then it had another herniation. Then it had surgery. So now I have scarring on my sciatic nerve. And I am still 2 years later about 30% numb on my pinky toe all the way up the back of my leg.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And
I know that was a lot.
No. Thank you for sharing. That is so
it's a lot.
overwhelming.
It's a lot. Listen, I've done a lot of physical therapy. I've done a lot of mental therapy. Also, shout out to the Actors Fund because they gave me like 12 weeks of like free therapy when I was like, I don't want to exist. Like, what is fucking happening to me?
Wow, Sarah.
It's wild. It's wild and not
outrageous.
I mean, people like know, but I feel like we talked about this a little bit, but it's not that I don't like talking about it because I don't care. It happened to me. Like I've gone through all, as much recovery as I can, and this is my life and this is what it is, but it really bums out other people.
I know that.
And I don't like that.
I know that. I feel like a broken record, but
I'm like, I'll get emotional. Yeah.
Get emotional. It's I've had thyroid cancer 3 times, and I each time have realized that I have to be in a place that is stable enough to not handle other people's emotions. Correct. Because when I tell people the way that they react,
it's too much.
If I am not feeling okay about it that day, I cannot take on your sadness or discomfort as I am in this place of
it's too much. It's too much. It's just too much. And specifically like people that we know from the business.
Of course.
What bums them out about it, or like just like what kinds of reactions do you get?
I think
what are the unhealthy?
And I mean, honestly, think it's like twofold. Like one, they're looking at somebody who they used to either perform with or like we'd be in auditions together, like did stuff, and is like, wait, I didn't realize like you can't do that anymore. Because I think the illusion that social media creates, because social media is an illusion, is that I was like, I'm done with Broadway and I'm a TV choreographer now. And
casually
I'm
transitioning.
I'm like, look at how great this is. And that is true. But it's also true that like the rug was snatched underneath me and I don't have that option anymore. So it's like, it looks one way that I made the full choice to do that, and part of that is true, but the other part of it is that I don't even have the option of the other one anymore. So it's really messed up when it was something that I already wanted. I did not want to do Broadway shows anymore. I was fed up with the business. I was tired of presenting myself for people I didn't respect to make pennies killing my body. Like, it's just shit like that where I was like, I don't want to do this, but it's also kind of all we know and all we knew and all we did. So it was really hard to just have that option taken away. And so I think people are really bummed out to see that happen to somebody that they knew in such a physical capacity. But also I think it like makes them look at their own life choices,
self-reflection,
and their own
could this happen to me?
Their own like not mortality, but their own like dancer mortality. Like the phrase "a dancer dies twice," and it really is true. Like when that stops being an option, you're like, this is my entire, or at least a large part of my identity. And when they see it happening to somebody relatively young and like in the middle of a career and things like that, then they're like, fuck, what do you do? And so like, I don't want to put that on you. Like, live in your happy place. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to have to confront your own mortality and choices because I'm like, can't feel my leg.
I don't know, but I also think it's important for you to be able to speak about it to people.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people
well,
to
that's
hear.
also why I was like,
And
Dr. Drew, and I was like, I feel like people don't talk about it enough in our business.
I'm so happy you are talking about it. Yeah.
It's this, and I immediately was thinking of professional athletes who have a very similar situation of that the career lifespan is not necessarily as long as, say, an accountant's.
It's not.
And I'm so interested to hear what are some of the things that you have gone through in terms of processing that, and like just. Did you know, when you were starting out in dance, did you know, like, hey, I'm gonna maybe have to stop this in my, I don't know, when is a common time that dancers stop?
I think that they
There's
don't
a range,
talk about it.
but yeah.
That's like the whole point. The whole point is that they don't talk about it. But touch really quickly on the athlete side of it, because I did have the option for another surgery. LOL, can you imagine? But they call it the Tiger Woods surgery, and I bring up this because the athlete component is so interesting compared to the performer dancer component, because they call it the Tiger Woods surgery. Basically, he had the same thing. He had 2 severe herniations, did all that stuff. He was like not walking. That's when he wasn't playing for a long time. And then they said, we have this new surgery where we go in through the front and we put in a spacer, because I'm bone on my back right now. On my lumbar. There's zero cushion there. And so they go, we put in a spacer, and it can buy you another like 10 years. And they said, and then that year he went back and he won the Masters for the first time in however long. And now you put it on.
Fucked up way to frame it, though.
I know. And then they said, but after 10 years, it could then compress other things, and but you can get 10 more years out of this career. To which then I had to sit there and think, yes, this is a billionaire athlete who has endorsements and who gets millions of dollars from playing his sport. And I go, if I go through a surgery again, for what?
Yes.
For what?
To get
show up-
$867 on a C to Tier
That's
Z
it.
tour.
I go, to kill my body 8 shows a week, to still have to do side hustles and not see my friends and family and live hand to mouth. Like, it's not the same. So I was basically like, fuck it. I'm not doing it. I would rather live in a low-grade, achy pain level for the rest of my life than go through another hideous surgery and another hideous recovery to second do a tap dance for people I don't care about.
To honor a career that doesn't love you back and doesn't love your body
Correct.
back.
But so that's what I was leaning to with like the difference. I think the career doesn't love you back, and it's never discussed. The timeline of a career in the arts is never actually discussed. As we're kids, as we're teens, as we're getting into it, it's always like, hit the goals, keep working, but nobody talks about what happens when you can't do it. And it pisses me off.
And it needs to be talked about. Even myself, I know that the Actors Fund has the career transitions for dancers. And they do help. They have a lot of workshops, and there are a lot of resources. But even still, I remember when I was a dancer, I still am a dancer. Like when I was a young dancer, I knew that career transitions for dancers existed, but I was like, I don't need
Not
that.
for me.
Not
I don't
for
need
me.
it.
Because even in my head, I knew that it wasn't going to be forever. But in my head, it was going to be forever. We had these dreams that we wanted it to be for a lifetime, you know. And you look at people like Cheetah Rivera and Donna McKechnie, and
who've all had hip replacements, by the way.
Yeah, their bodies have been ravaged. Yeah. But essentially they are kind of dancers for life, or they've been around, but you don't really talk about that. You stop working at a point. People don't want you, and your body degrades and it falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's only up to you as a performer to have the conversation with yourself to say like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And that conversation is devastating. It's the reason why I'm on antidepressants right now. It's
Same
the reason,
girl. Cheers.
Yes. Yes, Sertraline.
Yeah.
But like, we're not having the conversations.
We're not. And according to us, like literally career transition for dancers, if you're asking like, what did I think as younger, be like, I'm from Southern California. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll work in LA, I'll work in New York, and I don't know, I'll marry someone rich and they'll take care of me.
Yeah.
That's like the option.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen. I mean, listen, I am very happily married, but honey, we're not, you know, we're not buying a yacht. Catch my drift?
So what was the reality when you, like, I'm assuming that post your dozen surgeries, you had to face a very harsh reality of, oh, I'm done. What was the short-term and long-term mental effects of that?
Yeah, not great. Like, not gonna lie, not great.
Yeah.
Because of the roller coaster that we kind of touched on before, that it was hard to regulate, or like I would vacillate back and forth between, but you didn't want to do this anymore, so this is okay, versus how dare this happen to me and have this option taken away. And literally,
It wasn't your choice.
It wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
And women should have their choice.
I disagree.
I hate you.
Well, look
Honestly,
at that.
as the only
Look at
man
that
in the room, it's my choice.
plug.
So,
It is your choice, Drew.
I love what you said about the two versions of it, right? Because I think we often focus on like, look at everything positively, or sometimes when you aren't in that frame of mind and everything's just kind of negative, but
apocalyptic.
It's and I have found myself recently totally oscillating between these two, like, oh man, things really aren't working out, and like I don't know what to do, and things aren't looking the way I want them to look. I have a blank canvas in front of me, and
What a
do I
growth
want it to look?
opportunity.
What
Oh
my God.
Opportunity. And it's the whiplash between those two can get really intense sometimes, but I think I know that's way more where I sit, is in this in between, the liminal space between the two, of one day feeling really sad or depressed about it, the next day feeling great and excited about it. Do you find that you're kind of bouncing in between those spaces as well?
Yeah, I feel like now more I'm bouncing a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, for a solid like year and a half, it was mostly in the like, fuck it,
Fuck this.
fuck.
Yeah.
How did this happen to me?
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
And then, but I get, there's the other side. There's like, well, I did want to do this other stuff with my career, and I guess now I'm all in that because I don't have that other option anymore. But to be honest, it was mostly like, fuck this,
Yeah.
that really sucked. And again, it's not something I really wanted to do anymore. I didn't necessarily respect a lot of the Broadway craft and like where the business was at this point, but I did respect a lot of people in it, and people that I wanted, that I did love. There are a handful of people that I really did love working for, and I couldn't even go to Midtown for about a year because it really just bummed me out. It bummed and it bummed me out that I would think like, I'm never gonna do pre-pro with these people again.
Pre-production is development of choreography before you go into rehearsals. It's usually
So it's
working
like,
with the choreographer.
the choreographer will call in like a couple other, people, and you'll play around
That they
the
know
studio
and
for a few
trust,
days
and
and
yeah.
trust. And like, there would be shows that are like, you're shitty, but I'd be like, I don't want to do that because it's dumb, but I miss being around the people.
Creative people.
Yeah. And so I had some like really sad times where I was like, I'm never going to be in the room with these people again. And that's a real fucking bummer. But now, like, that is to say, not that everything's like sunshine and roses, but it did take a couple of years. But I'm like, oh, I can like go see a show now and not be bummed that there's not an option to be a part of it. I'm really fine with that. And I'm not going to say that that's all like mine and my therapist, like mental work. Like getting other employment 100% has a lot to do with getting over that.
Yeah.
Like
there's
not
many
gonna lie at
factors.
all. That if I hadn't like Girls 5 Eva was like a huge savior. Like I went to the premiere of season 2 literally like 2 weeks after my first spinal surgery.
Oh my gosh.
And I was, that, and I was like, fuck. And then we had time off, and then we did the third season, but I was like, and I was heavily involved in the third season. And I'm like, because of having that, it really helped me like leave that Broadway performing career behind and be okay with it. But I think that part of that is due to like the mental work, but I'm not gonna lie, like having a cool job really fucking helped.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not you. Healing journeys are never like one thing. It's never like, oh, this thing that my therapist said. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's like it's therapy, it's medication, it's other
all of
stuff,
it.
it's people, it's a combination. And you went through a lot. Like it's mourning.
A death.
It's a death.
Yeah.
It's a death.
It's a death.
Yeah.
This is so similar to what some of our conversations have been on, like grief and mourning and losing a parent or losing a loved one. It's like not being able to go to a space because it brings up too many memories, or like just being in that like, yeah, I'm okay now, but like it was shit for a long time.
Yeah, and it's still shit. Like I'm, picking up side jobs. Like TV work isn't consistent, and it looks super glamorous and amazing. But I'm like, straight up, like I did an Emmys FYC panel, and then closed the Zoom, put on my blacks, and went to a bartending catering shift, and was taking out trash at an office 2 hours later, And so it's like, I have these moments where I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, for anyone who wants to go into entertainment,
Yeah,
this is what it is. This is what it is.
This is what it is.
Straight up what it is.
This is what it is, but I'm also like not one to shy away from it. I think like so much is an illusion of like, I'm successful, I work with famous people and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like serving drinks later. But it's hard because even side hustle that I've done has a physical component to it.
Yeah.
So, like-
bartending, taking out trash.
Yes,
Like, that's not a
it's-
thing you can do with
It sucks. And so
spilling
and
spine.
Yeah, and so I might not be, tap dancing on a stage anymore,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I'll be okay, and then I'll do a long shift like that, and my leg will flare up and be like, I call it my dead leg, because it's not totally dead, but like, there was a while where you could come up and slap me on the ass and I wouldn't feel it.
Wow.
Like numb,
Well,
numb,
that's
numb.
an HR fun
Yeah.
time.
It really, I know. You want to be rough? Come hang out with me. But yeah, like it flares up. Like if I have like a hard physical day or something, then it does get worse. So then I can dip into that dark space. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that another huge component in getting over it was having my husband. Like I don't. He's gonna listen to this and be like, "You have to say nice things about me."
You don't have to, but you're choosing to.
No, I know.
We could sit here and shit talk him if you want to.
We
But
can also
really
edit
fun.
this
No,
out in
okay.
post.
No, I'm teasing. But yeah, like I could not have gone through those physical limitations, and even that I continue to do so on this day in this hideously hard city on a 3rd floor walk up without him. Like he was literally like helping me up the stairs like a lift. I mean, and making jokes as he had to shower me and like towel dry my legs, and Bless would be like,
fucking
literally,
kinky.
no,
Hot.
literally, he'd be like,
Drew wants
this is
spinal
a,
surgery.
yeah.
Yeah, sign me up.
He'd be like, is this our new kink? And I'm like, as I'm like crying on the show, I'm like, stop making jokes. Like, but it's true though, that I was like, if I didn't have somebody literally taking care of me, there's not a chance I'd even, I don't know, be here. Yeah.
I want to talk about, I tend to bring this up often just because it's where I'm at, and I know you feel similarly, is identity and the way in which it's like, you're like, I'm a comedian and this is what I do, and we're dancers and this is what we do. And it's so hard to let go of something you love deeply, especially when it is tied to your identity. It's like you're a chef, it's because you love food. If you are an architect, it's because you love design and you love building spaces. You're a performer, you love, like, it's so, the idea of having to have someone be like, nope, can't do it anymore, snatch it away.
Yeah, literally taking your dopamine hit.
It's crushing.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
taking it out of your hands and be like, never again.
Regardless of whether or not you were ready to transition out.
Yeah.
The fact that it was robbed of you, it was taken away. How has it been for you to kind of reshift and reformat what your identity is? Like, has it been for me, it's been a lot of forced alone time. It's been a lot of self-medication with pot and sex and alcohol, just because I'm so lost in my identity, because I want to be on Broadway. Like, I want to be a Broadway dancer. And and then your family showers with you with accolades because you're on Broadway.
And then you did it, and
And
you
then when
checked
you're
that
not on
box,
Broadway,
and
though,
you're
they're
like,
like, oh, it's okay. Like, you'll be okay. And you're like, oh God, they hate me because I'm a cater waiter and I'm not on Broadway at the moment.
Yeah.
That's really fucking hard.
It's hard.
So what has it been like for you to reframe what your identity is? What are the pros and the cons, and what do you feel like the best part of your new identity is?
I feel like coming to terms with and understanding that even though I lost the ability to do it, I didn't lose what I did and what I accomplished. And when you can say you danced on Broadway, I was like, I took the solo bow on Zero. Like, that's fucking cool, you know? And I was like, reframing it to not think about that I can't do that again, but that like, I did it. It's okay. I did it. Box checked.
You did the impossible. You accomplished the 1% of the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah,
You're the Olympics of your career.
Box checked. So instead of, I now tell people, I was like, no, I'm a retired Broadway performer. That literally is it. They don't have to know how or why, but I did it. And now I have moved on. And I think that clout is, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. It's people are impressed by it. Yeah. People are impressed by it, but it has to be the right people. You know what I mean? Because the group of people that we always surround ourselves with are like, well, we all do it. That's what we all do. So it's like the same. You know what I mean? But if you find the group of people who respect that as a cool, hardworking talent, then you're like, oh, I can take what this was and pull it and use it in something new that still kind of uses it. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
it's like what I do now. I was
yeah.
like, the people I work for now, I fucking love. I was like, I work for the best people in the business. I say this not every day, sometimes, but I was like, you know, and I have huge imposter syndrome where I'm in a room and I was like, I'm working on a script and stuff with like, you know, Tina Fey and Meredith Scardino and Paula Pell and these people. And I do have moments where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? But then they have such a respect for me and what I do and my work ethic, because they're like, Broadway's fucking hard. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is. And you know who never says that to each other? Like those of us that do it. So I feel like finding people that respect how hard that was, now applying it to something else has also really helped that identity. That I was like, I can still carry that with me, but not be it anymore.
That's beautiful. I have a little side story. Oh, no, we get it.
Okay.
I have just a really quick side story about the like people who know what theater is and Broadway is and think it's really cool and respectful, and other people that don't give a fuck. It was before we were going into rehearsals for Tootsie on Broadway, and I took this solo trip to Peru, and I was like living my life. And I don't ask me how this happened, but I randomly ended up having a whole entire day of travel sightseeing with this wicked hot French dude who like 6'4", straight from Marseille. He thought I was straight the whole day.
Also,
Okay.
Because I was like, hey bro, you want to go see these pyramids? Anyway,
He saw your team as a man.
I was like a week away from, I was like walking into a Broadway show. I thought I was fucking cool as shit. And then I'm like in Peru, and this guy was like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. And he was like, what?
What's that?
And I was like, Broadway.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, it's like theater. And he was like, like Shakespeare. And I was like, well, yeah, but not Shakespeare.
Technically.
And he
You're
was
like, yes,
okay.
but more sequins and dance belts.
It took us like 10 minutes to find a common denominator where he could finally almost kind of understand what Broadway was.
Yeah.
And then it was I was like, you know, like musicals. And he was like, and I was like, people dancing and singing. And he was like, oh, like Singing in the Rain. And I was like, yeah, but like on a stage. And he was like, oh, weird. Cool. Do you want to get some ceviche? And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, never mind.
Deflated.
This doesn't fucking matter. I was like, we are so in our bubble in theater and in New York that we're like, it's the coolest fucking thing. But like, so much of the world doesn't even know what it is. Like, we're so self-righteous and so like self-important about these things. I don't know.
Don't you feel though that that's the lie we were sold?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit? That like going
Because
into it as
we
kids and
grew up
whatnot.
with
It actually makes me feel better because I thought that it was just comedy that this happened. I thought it was just comedians that were like, who cares? Nobody cares about you. Doesn't matter. Only I am important. Bitter.
No,
But it's good to know that that's every.
They just
that's
don't
every
care.
podcast.
They don't care.
All right, we have to wrap,
Yeah.
but we are going to, before we wrap, we're going to hit you up with one of our favorite parts of the podcast
Okay.
is our rapid fire 10 questions.
Oh, I'm nervous.
So we just are going to very quickly throw random questions at you and you have to answer as fast as possible. Alex is going to start.
All right, here we
so
go.
1, 2, 3, go.
Swim with sharks or jump out of an airplane?
I've done both.
Favorite type of exercise?
Oh, I literally hate fitness, and I'm kind of known for it.
Great.
Yeah.
If you could compete in any Olympic sport, what would it be?
Surfing.
Least favorite chore?
Dishes.
What time of day are you most inspired?
Ooh, the twilight hour.
Beautiful. Unicorns or dragons?
Dragons.
Dinner with any famous Broadway diva, who is it?
I kind of already had dinner with them all.
Then give us one.
so gross.
Give us one.
I don't know. Honestly, Jen Samard's a good dinner date.
Okay, there we go. Favorite Sarah Bareilles song?
I'm Afraid from Girls 5 Eva.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Superpower you wish you had?
To fly.
And Kill Fuck Marry, Cats, Les Mis, Starlight Express.
I'm going to fuck Cats.
Okay.
I'm gonna kill Les Mis, and I'm probably gonna marry Starlight Express. I haven't seen it, but roller skates seem fucking fun.
I love that you're fucking cats. They're fucking the cats.
We
They're fucking
did.
the cats. Eat the
Also,
cat.
like, you know, there's a part
Eat the
in
cat.
Cats where it's called the cat sex. Like, we fucked on, we had cat sex on stage. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
that's weird. It's the weirdest.
Sarah, thank you for sharing this like beautiful, beautiful journey. I am so sorry that it is with you perpetually forever now, but we are
And now with
inspired by
everyone
your-
else.
Now everyone else.
Now you all have to
can
live with
hold
it
like
too.
inspired by your resilience and ability to go back and forth between the deep sadness of it all and the celebration of it all and find a pivot and move forward. And that's what life is about. And that's what this podcast is about. So like you're like a perfect guest for us to have. And I'm happy that other dancers are going to be able to listen to this and hear your experience as well.
Yeah, I don't want. I mean, I don't want it to be like a watch out, but also
no.
like think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Think about it.
Where can our followers follow you? Like
Follow
social
me.
media, website. What are your details?
Yeah, I have pretty much just an Instagram. It's Sarah M Jenkins.
Sarah with an H?
Sarah with an H. SARAH-M Jenkins, because Sarah Jenkins is too common. Yeah, I'm kind of there. That's it. But also, if you want to watch Girls 5 Eva on Netflix, all 3 seasons,
Yeah.
we could use it.
Those are your
Absolutely.
moves.
We love
We could
that.
use it. Yeah, thank you so
Awesome.
much. Thank you so much,
Thank
my
you.
friend.
Thank you for being here. We
What
adore
a
you. And welcome to the
story.
Into the Mud family.
Yes.
You're here.
Thank you so much. Me and
Thank you guys
me and my
so
dumb
much.
girl.
Yes.
Give
Everyone,
us a
we love
like,
you
a
all.
follow, a
Please
share.
like, follow, subscribe. Give all of us a like, follow, subscribe. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you so much. Bye.